What's up, everybody? It's Marcus. Welcome back to my channel. Um, it's gonna be a long form video because in my shorts I have to talk as fast as I can. I can't ever really get my point out because it has to be under 3 minutes, and what I got to say will not go under 3 minutes. And it's also nice just to kick back and take your time so you can actually drive the point home. I do realize not many. I have a lot of subscribers. Well, a lot for me. I have 700 subscribers, and that is to me that is a lot, and I am so grateful for that. You don't know what that means to me, and you don't know how much that helps me in my recovery. But having said all that, I'd like to dive into this video, and like I said, not many people watch my long form videos. That's why I don't make a lot of them. But this video is really important to me. It's kind of a version, I guess, or a little bit of my testimony. Um, it's more of what brought me into sin than what brought me out. That'll be another video. But so let's just dive right into it. Most of the time when I make these videos, I just shoot from the hip. I speak directly from the heart. There's no script. There's no editing. I say what I gotta say, and if I screw it up, so be it. I load it anyways. I want my videos to be authentic. I want them to be real. I want you to see me struggle with the words. I want you to see. It's kind of like with art. To me, I think the best part of art is the little imperfections, the little mistakes the artist made. Because it's those little mistakes that make the art. If it was a perfect painted picture, then why wouldn't it just want you to just take a picture? Like Gattaca by Pablo Picasso. I never really liked Pablo Picasso. I thought his art was too perfect and stuff. But then when I seen Gattaca up close, you can see the drip marks and the little mistakes. And to me, that's my favorite part of art is the little mistakes, the little human. It's just human. It's not AI. It's human because you can see the little mistakes of it. Well, anyways, that's how I make my videos. I just shoot straight from the hip so that way you guys can feel the authenticity of it. Even when I screw up on words like that because I can't say them. Anyways, for this video, I do have a script. I've worked hard on it. It means a lot to me. This video is coming from the heart. I'm trying to do more Christian-based stuff, now that I'm a Christian. I'm not religious. I don't believe in religion. I think religion is responsible for the deaths of hundreds of millions of people. I do believe in Jesus Christ. He is my Savior. I do go to church and read the Bible, but I go to a non-denominational church. I don't think we should put religion in categories. I think we should all just have our own personal relationship with God. And that is what I have in my heart. I have a personal relationship with God. All right, so let's just get started here. Okay, they say that the devil was like the angel of music and how he used music to corrupt souls. It's not in the Bible, but I do agree, or at least see where people get that from. I understand because all the music that you see these days, it's like hip hop and things like that. They're all using this real satanic imagery, and they call it demon music. Like I've heard a lot of them drill rappers. This is demon music. And all the words in these songs are either about like demons. Like they like to call themselves demons and things like that. Look at Doja Cat, what she did. And either about sex or murder or drugs or chasing money. All these evil things. And they worship money and they worship material wealth. That is the most important thing to them. That is how they judge one another. It's upon your status, how much money you've got, and all that. So, yes, I do believe the devil uses music to influence people into sin and to draw them near to him. Excuse me. This goes all the way back to the start of popular music in the U.S. The U.S. has become the hub of music around the world. Everybody wants to come to the U.S. to do their music. And stories all the way back from the like the 20s with people like Robert Johnson, selling his soul for fame and talent and riches and all that comes with it. And then you get all the way up to the 60s with the drug abuse. I mean, you think of 60s, I mean, that's what you think of, drugs, right? I mean, the hippies, the drug movement, and then you get into the 70s with bands like Black Sabbath and Led Zeppelin and Deep Purple, all these bands that are like just kind of demonic, really, but the way they did it then was more kind of, sly. They really didn't be as blunt with it as they do today. But most of all these big bands, were big followers of Aleister Crowley. If you don't know who that is, maybe his mother's nickname for him as a child. When he was a child now, this was his mother's nickname for him. I mean, his mother was a Christian. I think his father was like a preacher, or his grandfather was, or something like that. But his Christian mother gave him the nickname, the Beast, 666. Literally, that's what she called him. And he goes on to actually embrace this, I mean, and he continues using this evil nickname for the rest of his life. I mean, that just goes to show you the kind of person that he is. He also believed in magic. And when I say magic, I mean magic with a K, not with a C. I mean, not like Houdini, kind of magic, not Chris Angel kind of magic. I'm talking about the evil, demonic, summoning demons kind of magic. And I mean, these bands like Black Sabbath wrote a song about him. It's actually called Aleister Crowley. The Beatles and Led Zeppelin both used his pictures on their albums. I think in Led Zeppelin 4, I might be wrong, but one of their albums, it actually has in the record, the actual vinyl copy of the record, it has Crowley's famous words, "Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law." Anyways, "Do what thou wilt," they had that engraved into each album, and it just means do what you want, be free, be your own God, just say satanic stuff, I mean, Jimmy Page actually went and bought Aleister Crowley's house so that way he could practice magic spells, magic with a K, not a C. He bought Aleister Crowley's house so he could do all this spells and demonic stuff. If you actually watch the Song Remains the Same documentary, where it shows Jimmy Page on there, he's actually at the Crowley house on Lake Loch Ness. So what do you Lake Loch Ness or something? Lake Ness or something. It's where the Loch Ness monster comes from, that lake. And I mean, he just did all these magic spells and things like that. Aleister Crowley was a part of this thing called the Golden Dawn, something like that, which was a group of intellectuals who practiced this kind of magic into the occult, things like that. And and he got kicked out of it because he was too bizarre. He believed, he went to Egypt and got married and believed that there's this demon, Egyptian demon, that came to him that was like a sex god, and he practiced all this sex magic and things like that. He actually had these really disgusting poems, and I mean, it was just disgusting. And later on in my story here, that when I get to how this affects me, you'll understand why I know all this stuff. But anyways, yeah, Jimmy Page bought his house and he was doing spells and things like that. And all these bands from the UK, I say the UK, United Kingdom, that covers a lot of them, but like Australia, I mean, just all over Europe, people want from other countries, they want to get to America. Back in the 60s, it was like, you had to get to America and be on the Ed Sullivan Show. That's how the Beatles got big, and everybody else. The Who, the Doors, all them, they had to come to America, I mean, you was nobody until you made it big in America. You can make it big in any other country, but until you made it big in America, you're nobody, So fast forward till now, and it is just all out in the open now. There's no more cryptic music. They're not using it like they did in the 70s, 80s, and even some of the 90s, where they were kind of, disguising this demonic stuff in their music, But nowadays, it's not like that, they've got more bold, they just come out with it. Just go online, look at any of these videos. These music videos, especially in hip hop and things, you see it's very demonic. And some of them just don't even hide it at all. They just straight out say, "Oh, this is demon music," and they got horns on their head, and they got these AI effects making their eyes red. They're just not hiding it anymore, And this is where my fall from grace comes into play, As a kid, I went to church, I prayed, I grew up in a Christian home. I had the nuclear family, at least when as a child, But around the age of 13, I started to branch out and listen to my own circular music, picking up on my own trends and things like that, as we do when we get to be teenagers. I started out loving the classics. I remember my first band that I really, really loved was Aerosmith. I loved them, and I was pretty young. First CD I ever bought, I went out and bought the Rolling Stones 40 Licks, just to give you a kind of, and I loved Led Zeppelin too, stuff like that. So it started out. But once I got more into my own individuality, because, I had young parents, so that's what they listened to. They listened to all the 80s music and things like that. But, once I got to where you're at your own age and you're starting to develop your own individuality, I got into hip hop. I remember being around 13, 14 years old and loving Master P. I had the big No Limit charm. I had the baggy Jinko jeans. I was cool. Make Him Say, my gosh, that was my favorite song when I was like 13, 14 years old. Silk the Shocker, anybody on No Limit. I loved Tupac, Nas, all those people that are now considered the GOATs. That's what I liked. And, when I was around 15 or 16 years old, I kind of got back to my roots. I found this one band that really spoke to me. I really related with their lead singer. And I just became completely obsessed with this band, and this band was Nirvana. I loved Nirvana. It really introduced me to the 90s grunge movement and all the other 90s bands, which I really, to this day, it's still my favorite, type of music. I got the Nirvana smiley face tattooed on my wrist. I'm a huge Nirvana fan. And I love all the 90s grunge bands. I loved Alice in Chains, Pearl Jam, Soundgarden, Green River, Sonic Youth, Dinosaur Jr., Butthole Surfers, all of them, they're just that's my thing, I could relate to it. And, I just, even to this day, it's still my favorite kind of music. But at that age, it was really hard for me to separate the music from the artist. Seeing, I was obsessed with these bands like Nirvana, Alice in Chains, Kurt Cobain, Lane Staley, Chris Cornell, and mostly I was just thinking they were so cool, and everything they did was so cool that I wanted to be just like them, just like them. And in case you don't know, the one thing that like Lane Staley, Kurt Cobain, not as much Chris Cornell in the beginning, but I think he was more drinking or whatever. But drugs. That's what they have in common, drugs. So I thought it was cool being on drugs. I just remember my aunt one day, I was around 15 or 16, asked me what I wanted to be when I grew up, and I told her I wanted to be a strung out rock star. I just thought it was so cool. Their old grungy clothes that they got from the thrift store with the holes in them, the wore out Converse with some catchy saying written on the white part of the toe, and just, not giving a shit, just being this grunged, the whole grunge thing, just the whole thing. I just thought it was so cool. But I do want to make one thing clear here. I do want to say that my addiction is my fault. I was a 21-year-old man and I made that choice myself. I take full responsibility for my actions, and that was my action and my action alone. I was old enough to know better when I started, and yet I still did it. But I take full responsibility for it. There's nobody to blame for my addiction but me. But I cannot say that I wasn't heavily influenced by this culture, and I chose to be a part of it. I was heavily influenced by them, and it reeled me in, And to me, that's the devil in music. That's you know, really using music to corrupt my soul. I felt like, and I still feel like to this day that was Satan. That was evil. That was somebody trying to pull me away from God using music. And I mean, I saw all the rock gods like, Kurt Cobain, Lane Staley, Jimmy Page, Jim Morrison, Jimi Hendrix, just the rock gods. I saw them as the coolest damn thing that you had ever seen, you know. And if the artist didn't do drugs, then I didn't like them. I didn't think they were cool. How can you write good music if you haven't been influenced by this thing that takes you to the other side, if you will? You know, if you never done acid, how do you know? I just didn't think it was cool, and that was just the kind of mindset I was in at that time. That was the influence that this music had on me. It was the influence that, that that music that the devil used to pull me into him. So through music I found drugs. And take it from a guy who spent, 20 years wasting his life on drugs. Drugs are demonic. They are wrong, and it takes everything away from you, including God. And just by proxy, this music is evil. It is an extension of the devil, if by proxy, if for nothing else. I did evil things while I was on drugs. Um, I just did. I did evil things, and since this music I listened to glamorized this kind of stuff, I thought it was okay. I thought it was cool. I didn't have any remorse for doing it because I thought it was cool. This is part of it. I was completely blinded by this. By the role models I chose. I chose these role models, and through them, the influence that they gave led me to making these horrific choices that have become to define me to this day. My addiction, even though I am sober now before you and been sober for almost 2 years now, I will carry it with me the rest of my life. My drug addiction has defined me as a person. No matter what I do, no matter how much I make up for it, there's still people out there that will always see me as that drug addict. There are people that will always judge me on things I've done in the past. There are people that will never trust me again due to things I did while I was on drugs. My drug addiction came to define me as a whole. And I have to live with that. And I have to live with that the rest of my life. And that's what I want to say. If you're young right now, I know you think you got the world at your feet, that you're invincible, but you're not. Listen to your elders, man. I wish I would have listened to mine when they tried to warn me and told me all this, that, and the other. But I thought I was so cool. I thought that I'm young, invincible, and it's always going to be this way, I didn't see the misery that lied ahead. I didn't see the darkness that, And these big famous rappers, and all of them that are, out here rapping and things like that about demonic things, this, that, and the other. They might look like they've got everything. They got all the money, the fame, the women, the whatever, what have you. I guarantee you at night they're alone in their rooms crying, and they're in depression and under great amounts of stress. I promise you, their life is nothing like you see on TV. People say money can't buy happiness. It can't. It really can't buy you happiness, but I'm sure as hell would rather be miserable with it than without it. You know what I mean? But let me get back to topic here. Sorry, guys. So as a Christian, we are fighting as Christians, we are fighting a spiritual warfare. And music is just one of the things we have to arm ourselves with. We have to find the right kind of music to influence us in the right kind of ways that make us want to go out there and fight this war that we're fighting with evil every single day. And please, if my message has not taught you anything else, one thing: if you are a parent, watch your kids. Watch the music they listen to and the things they're into. It might seem harmless to you, whatever, but it could be something that is influencing them that will ultimately come to define them. I wish I would have had somebody really show me and explain it to me when I was younger. But back when I was younger, addiction was just becoming this treatable thing, that people can recover from and get back to having a normal life. But up until then, you didn't really hear much about, there wasn't such things as like interventions and, putting people through treatment and stuff like that. But these days, we do have these blessed from God programs that can help save you, that can help bring you out of addiction. There is hope. If you know anybody out there that is struggling with addiction, just go to Google and type it in. They will bring up a website that will help you. There are programs out there that will help you. And like I've always said in all my videos, if you cannot find the help that you're looking for, down in the bio is my email. Please shoot me an email and I will do everything in my power to help you. I have some contacts and some programs in California, Alabama, Florida, North Carolina, Oklahoma, and New York. And even if you're not from one of them places, it doesn't matter. They will fly you out there, get you the treatment you need, and fly you back home at their expense. So if you are going through addiction right now, there is hope and there is a better life. I promise you. It is so worth it. But only you can do it. Nobody can do it for you, and you have to want it and have to be willing to pay whatever price it takes to get it. But it is worth it on the other side, I promise you. It is not easy. It is very hard and very painful. I'll take it as a person who's been through it many times. It's not a vacation, so don't take it like that. But watch your kids. Watch what they listen to. You don't want them to end up like me, 40 years old, on here just now getting my life together, doing things I should have done when I was 20. I've wasted 20 years of my life on drugs. And I ain't gonna lie, yeah, some of it was fun. But the misery of it completely outweighs the good times. You can add up all the good times in the last 20 years, it might add up to a year of good time, and then like 19 years of hell. And when I say hell, the hell you go through as a result of it, it's way worse. It's more worse. How do I say this? As bad as it is, as good as it is when you're using and having fun, it is way worse when you're coming down and things like that. I guess what I'm trying to say is it's not worth it. It is not worth it. It's not worth the good times, and you'll see. I hope you don't have to see. I hope my warning will heed anybody. If my warning just reaches one person, hallelujah, thank you, God. But get help, people. There's so much help out there these days. There's so many people that are willing to help. Get help before you die, because this disease is terminal. It will kill you. It's like having cancer, but not going and having it treated. Sure, chemo sucks. Lose your hair, you get sick, but you live. You get better. Your hair grows back. Your weight comes back. You feel better again. Same thing with addiction. It is terminal. It will kill you unless you get help. That help will make you lose weight, make you feel worse than you've ever felt in your entire life. But you will come out on the other side a better person, feeling better, looking better, having a better life, and it is so worth it. So if you ever listened to anything I've said in this last 25 minutes, I've been rambling on about this. Choose your role models carefully. Choose the music you listen to carefully. choose your actions carefully, because drugs will ruin your life, and all it takes is one time. Just try this one time, and then that's all it took. It's all it took for me. One pill, one pain pill, one hydrocodone pill, and I was hooked for 20 years. And you don't want to have to go through detox from opiates. Definitely not benzos and alcohol, because that will kill you. I'm telling you. And if you're young listening to this, do it now, because the older you get, the harder it gets on you. I hope this has really reached somebody. If you've made it this far in this video, thank you so much. Like I said, nobody ever watches my long form videos when they should, because I got a lot of good information, and you're taking it from a guy who's lived it. I've been to Hollywood. I've been to LA. I partied out there. I've been to New York City, Manhattan. I partied up there. I've been to Chicago, Indianapolis, Milwaukee, Atlanta, Miami. I know how fun it is. I know what partying like that is, but in the end, it's not worth it, I promise. In the end, I'd rather be right here in my little town in North Alabama with good folk around me, listening to good music, and knowing that with my heart in Jesus Christ, that even when this body does die, my soul will live for an eternity, and it will live in heaven with God in bliss. So please, if you are struggling with addiction, reach out for help. If you have to, reach out to me in my bio for help. Just get some help. And just remember that I love each and every one of you. If you made it this far, please like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching my video and listening to me rant. I hope you got something from it. I love you. I love you all. Jesus loves you. He loves you all. God bless you all. God bless America. And I hope you make better choices than I did. Unless you're using, then I hope you make that one good choice I made and give your life over to Christ and let Him take it. Well, I hope y'all having a good day. I rambled on enough. Peace out. I love you guys. We'll see you next time.